Hello YouTubers, right, okay, so one cooked dragon, Mer-Dragon should we say, looking very nice, very pleased with her. I've still got Mr. Burnt Mer-Dragon. My daughter wants this one, she's 7, she's going to have a go at painting it, so I said to her I'd keep it. I was actually looking at it, it's a shame because his fin and everything is all really lovely. So we'll let her have a go at doing that. So, pop it up there. Right, so, we are looking good. I put the first part of this one on YouTube, so it's there if anybody needs to use it. Well, obviously it is if you'll read it, it's sort of on look. Sorry it was so long, but that's how long it takes for perfection for these tail pieces, for the fins. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is put in a couple of eyes. So for this part I'm using Fimo clay now, which is a much more sturdier clay. The Arteza is a little bit on the softer side. And what I found when I tried to put the horns on that one, which is why I've pulled him off, and he's got 2 divots in the top of his head at the moment, if you can see that. You see the divots at the top here. Here and here, look. I pulled them off because when they went in the oven they were sort of stood up. When they come out the oven they were down here. I'm probably to do with a lot to do with the heat where I mounted them. But yeah, I just think that the Fimo clay is a much sturdier clay. Now because we're sticking clay on clay, today we're going to use some liquid clay just to make sure we've got a good sort of adhesive going on there. So when it goes back in the oven for the Fimo, I'm really run out of this one, I've got another one over there, it will stick and I know it will stay. So what I tend to do is just squeeze out a little pile of it, just a little puddle. Doesn't have to be massive because we're not going to use huge amounts. This stuff seems to last forever. I bought another one because I was pretty low on it, but lo and behold it's still got plenty in. Okay, so I've squirted it down there. I don't know whether you'd be able to see that. There, look, there you can. Okay, let's turn that upside down in case we need any more. It's getting really hard to get stuff out of it. Oh, it's not going to stand there, is it? Oh, there we go. No. There we go. Right, so eyes. So I like big googly eyes in mine, but that would be entirely up to you if that's what you wanted. Try and get them, the little balls, the same sort of size. I always keep a little piece of black up on my shelf because you always need eyes. And I don't like getting the black out too much because it creates such a mess, which then obviously transfers onto the others. I kept my colours out that I was using of the Fimo. I used Fimo for this, didn't I? This is a whole Fimo. I used Fimo for this. It was the other one I used the Arteza for. No, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So just keep offering them up, and once you're happy, which I still feel like they're a little bit big, just keep plucking little bits off of it, and then you'll get there eventually. There we go, I'm happy with that, I think. Although that one, I must have one eye smaller than the other, the eye sockets. So do make sure that when you make them, that you do get them, try and get them the right sort of size. That's alright, if you have a look at that. See how I like mine sort of sticking out a little bit, if you can see from there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is just with a ball tool, I just use my small ball tool, dip it in and then a little bit. You don't need huge amounts, otherwise it will slide straight back out. You just want enough in there to just make it so that it's like just a little bit on the stickier side. Okay. I'm sorry if you can hear odd sounds. My husband's painting my hallway, which is nice. We always do decorating across winter. And then during the summer we're out in the garden. So perfect. Very happy with that. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because I just feel like you're not sort of seeing it. It's not completely in focus. I think it's probably me. Okay. Hello folks, right, that should be a bit better now. I've just put a light to my right. Okay, so his eyes are in. You've got to try and sort of tap them in there nicely without flattening them out. Okay, so just like that. Right, now I've got the original colours we used for his fins. They're all here. As you can see, I kept them separate so that I knew what I'd got. There's my little waist ones. So, horns and whatnot. Now you can either use a different colour, which I probably am going to, so they stand out a little bit more. You can put ears on him if you like. I'm going to have to put a couple of nasals on him. I forgot to do some little holes. So what we'll do is put a little lumpy bit on the end of his nose. Now bearing in mind, folks, I've never ever made a Mer-Dragon. Not past this point at all. I've only made one before that. So it's a little bit trial and error with me. So do bear with me. It's all a learning curve, shall we say. Okay. So I'm just going to extend his nose just a smidgen. Make sure it's well rubbed in and sort of moulded in. Like I say, it's a bit more difficult because he's been fired and cooked. The trouble is I don't want to put any more glue on it because I don't worry whether... Oh, roller. I forgot about his eye. There we go. Yeah, I don't know whether I want to keep it on there or not at the moment. So, and the trouble is, by the time I think, yeah, I do want to keep it on there, it'll look really cool. And it'll be too late and I won't be able to pull it off. Actually, his nose is coming out a bit of a better shape than I expected. Crack there, let's get rid of that. Oh, it's not a crack, it's a join mark. Okay. This will probably all be gone when you cook him in a bit. It will probably all just disperse itself and you won't be able to tell what's new and what's not. Hopefully. Okay. Just a little bit there. If you spend a little bit extra time sort of at this point, then you won't have to use any time up later. Sorry, I got him over here then. So you couldn't see what I was doing anyway, could you? Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just literally trying to sweep down any edges. But we're going to put a lot of bits on his face in a minute. Some more, we're going to have some horns. You can use spikes. You can use pretty much anything you want to. It's whatever you like. I keep catching that eye. See, brushing him out. Oh, lovely. There we go. So it looks kind of a bit nuts. I quite like the shape of his nose actually now, if you can see that. It's a bit more like a, I don't know. There we go. Right. So you can see where it was. I'm just going to take this eye out so I can just rub it back a little bit further. So you can't actually see it. Or you'll be able to see it, but not. It's like a straight cut-off line, which is what we don't want. I mean, you can see, ladies and gentlemen, why you would need to cook it after you've got your main shape and your your fins on, because there's just no way, because you need to sort of move it about so much, you just end up with a complete pickle on your hands. Right, I think I'm happier with that. I'm going to have to take the other eye out and do the same again. What I might do is leave the eyes out for now, and we can put them back in a minute, and then that way we can get a good sort of coverage on him. Otherwise we'll end up with, yeah, I'm liking that. We'll end up with a piece that will, what I might do is put another little piece on the end. Just got a piece down here, I'm just pulling it off, because I want to make sure I've got enough on there so that I can put nostrils in, because I very stupidly forgot to do it. So there's another couple of little bits on there. Just sort of spread them out like you've just done. I want to try and keep those bits more to the top, so that we've got a little ridge there, like so. I didn't think I'd be able to make a video today because I woke up this morning and my hands were so swollen. I don't know quite what happened there and what was going on there. Whether it's because I had a good day yesterday, I don't know. They're still quite swollen now. Couldn't get my rings off. That was this morning, so. But they've gone down. It's taken about 3 hours, but it has gone down. I wanted to kind of make an early start on this video this morning, but there was just no way. Couldn't bend my hand or anything. It was ridiculous. So I want to take it a bit easier today. So I'll make my video with you guys, and then I think I'll probably call it a day for today, which really annoys me because this I find really, I just love clay work. I like crocheting and that as well. But crochet is even worse because I can't hold the needle for very long. And because of the way you hold the wool, it means my little finger really goes through the walls and I can't do it. At least I can stop with this and then pull it back up when I'm sort of ready and start again. So, and you folks are none the wiser because I'm that good at my editing. Not. That was a bit of an eye-opener when I put my first video on here. Not the most easiest thing to do, and I'm not daft when it comes to technology. I'm not the greatest, but I'm not daft. I've got some sort of idea. But wow, that was different, shall we say. Right, now I don't actually know how much of that you could see and how much of that I was actually keeping out and sort of hogging the whole thing. So I do apologise for that. So what we're going to do now is just gently try and dig a couple of holes in for nostrils. Now I like mine to be raised, so just lift it up slightly. You can use a cocktail stick for this piece, for this part. If you just sort of see how we're doing it, just sort of wiggling it around and then lifting it up. And then I'm going to just brush it on the top, which will just move it forward. If you see that. And then try and get in the same sort of shape. And the same sort of size helps. Right, very pleased with those. They look like good nose holes. And you're off film again. Let me move the camera over. I think that might be part of the problem. Okay. That's better. Okay, so if you can see a couple of nose holes, I don't know if you'd be able to see. That's it, and I quite like the way he's looking. So that's his side views. Okay, so at this point I'm going to pop his eyes back in because that was very disturbing that I had to take them out in the first place. So just pop them back in. That's easier said than done though. I'll try and get the right eye in the right hole now, because I don't know which one came out where. Yeah, I think that one's over here. What a pickle we've got ourselves into, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that one's gone in there, so I'm going to keep that one in there now. I have a thing about dragons. I can't help it. I think they're amazing. And I think it's because you've got such a free reign to do what you want to do with them that it's I do like making them. It's the first time I've made a Mer-Dragon. Got a couple of lead down dragons, and I have got this fella, which I made to go on a box, a wooden box, which I am going to do a video over the next couple of days and show you how I made him. He's pretty cool, isn't he? Let's call him Dave the Dragon. There we go. I actually made him to go on a box for my Uncle David, so let's call him Dave the Dragon. Okay, so I will show you in the next couple of days. I'll put a video up. He's not as hard as you think. Have a go. I will show you how to do him, and he's very easy. Again, I've never made one like this before, but he was really, really, really easy. So that, keep your eyes open, will be my next video that I put up probably. So please, please, ladies and gentlemen, hit that subscribe button, so when I do release things like that, you will be the first to be notified and you'll be able to see it. Thank you for my ongoing support of the people that have already subscribed to me. I very, very much appreciate it. It's very difficult. Sometimes I can't get videos out as quickly as I'd like, but do bear with me. I hope that what I am releasing you're happy with. So, and I'd like to see your makes as well. Any dragons and things like that, please put them in the comments below. Put a picture of it up. I would love to see it, and to know that what I'm making and people, you know, they do like it. So, right, cool. So horns. What colour should we do horns? I have some gold, bronze. I often wonder though if it's very cliche doing them in gold and bronze. Black? No. What colours do we have? Oh, that's a nice colour. Can you see that? It's like a greeny, kind of greeny metallic-y black. You can't see it, can you? There you go. That's quite nice. And it goes quite well with her. So, oh, I called it a her, it could be a him. I don't know. So let's use that one. Okay, we've got a, oh nice, darker green. I think they're the colours I used on that other dragon, if you can see that. So we used both of those, I think. Right, so the first ones I want to do are the big horns. Now I like my big horns, they're going to come up here. They're going to come off. I'm going to use a darker colour for this, because they're the bigger one. They look like they're the main horn. So, right, this hasn't been used for a few days. So, just condition the clay. I do it on a number 3 through my pasta machine, which is just to my right. So please do bear with me. I won't be a second. If I don't do this, I won't be able to use it, because I won't be able to do it with my fingers. So my husband bought me and got me a pasta machine, bless him. This green's lovely. It's like a very dark, kind of metallic-y, bit sparkly. It's really lovely. I think it's been made up over a large amount of, well, a couple of weeks. I'll tell you why I have this colour, is because I was having to go at making some of those daft candy canes. I can't do them, folks. So that's something I will be having a little look at later on down the road, because it's just not something that right now I feel like I need to be doing. As soon as I have a go. I did try it, and this is why I ended up with so much of this. Okay. Not the easiest thing I've ever tried. I'd rather make a full-bodied Mer-Dragon than do a candy cane. So that's pretty scary. Okay. So you want to break off 2 balls. You don't want them too small, but at the same time you don't want them too large. Otherwise they'll be too large for your dragon's head. Now I tend to break them off 2 at a time, because obviously I want 2 horns. And I sort of marry them up to each other. If one is slightly larger than the other, cut it off. Goodness, I need to clean my board, look. Okay. Till they look roughly the same. And then you want to roll them into a sausage. Now, my square ones, I've got horns. I've got a thing at the moment about square horns. Just look absolutely awesome. So just literally roll it out. Now, firstly, I can see straight away this is huge. So that's not going to work. But I will show you in a second. And then all I do is just gently turn it a little and flatten it. Turn it a little and flatten it. Turn it a little and flatten it. And what will happen is it will go square. I'll show you in a second. You're off film again. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me move you back. Okay. Let's try that. So I just literally flatten it gently, turn it, flatten it, turn it, flatten it, turn it, flatten it, until it'll come out looking square, if you can see that. As against the other end is round. Okay, so I know that that's going to be way too big. So I'm going to cut it, and just put it on here, and I'm going to cut it at 1.5 squares, which I know is going to be too big still. But I'm going to measure it out. I suppose it doesn't have to be that big, does it? What do you think? Too big. Okay. We could do something really funky with this one, and we could turn it into a Mer-Dragon dragon corn. Oh dear, that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? A mermaid / dragon / unicorn. Got my mind thinking now. Okay. They're a bit thin for what I like. I like them a little bit on the fatter side. So go back to your original piece that you've not smashed up. Okay. And then you're going to just flatten each side, like I just said. Make it nice and square. If you find this way's not working so well for you, use a blade and just cut the very, very slightly. Just shave the edges off. Okay, that's enough for me now. So I'm going to do it at 1.5 again. That's very silly, wasn't it? I've got to make that as a point, which is just square. Circled out my my square. Okay, can you see how I'm just sort of with one hand just... There we go, look. Okay. I'm going to make it about 1.5 squares long. So I know I've got the same size, I'm going to use the other bit that I've just cut off. So turn it in and roll it into a point. Don't worry if it takes the squareness out of it, we'll put that back in a second. Okay. So we're going to do the same again now. Square it down. Turn square. Turn square. Turn square. I mean, if it bends up that you end up losing the tip, just pull it off. Okay. That's more than what I want tip-wise, so I just cut that end because it was just going to keep pulling out. Okay. That's my front door. And then just keep making it nice like that. And then just cut it the same size. Kind of one horn big and one horn small. And just see if they look about the same size. They're all right. Right, now I like to put marks in mine. Goes back to my old days of drawing, which I used to draw a lot of dragons. And they used to have like bits in them, like that separated them and made them look. Let me show you, let me do one. All I use is a pin tool. You could use a cocktail stick, anything you want to. If you can see that, it's given out a lovely, not too hard on the very tip, otherwise you'll end up knocking it off. Can you see that? So it's just giving it some nice texture all the way round. So we're going to do the same on this one. Try and get them roughly in the same places if you can. I mean, if you don't, it doesn't matter. They're in horns. They may not grow together. And nobody will notice, to be honest. I mean, obviously you'll know it's there. It's whether you can live with it. Okay. That's good. So at the very bottom you want to cut a slight slope, because you don't want it, otherwise it won't stand properly on his head. Okay. And you're just going to use your ball tool again. You want a little bit of liquid clay on the very bottom there. Not much, otherwise it will just slide straight off. Now gently when you're holding these, because you will bend them out of shape, and you've just done all that work. So and then find where you want to put them, pushing them down slightly. Now I'm going to put mine, if you can see that, towards, I'm going to butt mine up to the middle. So if you can see that, like that. Alright, I'm going to zoom it in, because it's an awfully long way for you to see. Okay, so you will have to just excuse me if I do sort of slip off camera with you. Right, I'm going to push this one up this side, so just push it on, make sure it's pushed on, otherwise it will fall off. So just, you kind of got to be a little bit firm with it, but not too firm. Okay, and then you're going to bend it to the shapes that you want it. Now I like mine be with a nice sort of bend in them, and then it takes up that slack, because when they're very long, like mine really are long, but I mean I'm not too worried about it. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, pleased with them. Right, now if you wanted to put any other horns on, you can do. Now's the time. Now I'm going to try something different today, and I'm going to put like two, well, I'm going to see what it looks like bits of under his chin. I don't want it to look like a billy goat gruff, that's the trouble. Let me see. No, I don't think I like that. See, unless you try these things, you just don't know. So, I mean, you've just got to give these things a go. Okay, so now I think I'm going to use some of the green. And I'm going to do some horns, I think, coming down his nose. So, you just literally, let me zoom back out a smidgen. I'm just literally going to push him out the way for a second. Pinch off a little bit, literally the smallest bit you can find. You're going to flatten it down, you're going to point it. Now make it as thin as you want to, and then you can cut it off then. See how thin that is? That looks like off of a rose bush. So because it's going down his nose, I don't want it too long. So we'll do it that length. Dip it in a little bit in the liquid clay, and then pop it on. She says, there we go. Right, I know instantly that's too small. Okay. I do like the shorter ones, the chunkier ones, because they do tend to sort of stay on longer. Like that. There we go, look, that's perfect. Hi, right, okay. So with mine, I've just stuck 3 little horns on his nose, if you can see that. And at this point, it really is down to you what you do with them. I don't know if I really want to stick anything else on there. I might do though, I don't know. I'm so indecisive with things like this. I kind of feel like he needs something on his chest. What I might do is do him like a bit of a chest plate. Okay. I'm going to use this colour here, which is the greenier one out of the two, or the goldier one. They're both very, very similar. Well, I'm going to stick to this colour. I'm going to pop it through the pasta machine. Oh, because it's quite hard. I'm going to put it through on its fattest setting, so then we can cut something out. Okay, so it's up to you again if you want to do that. Okay, so what you need to do is just pretty much do some sort of oval shape. It doesn't need to be very wide. You can cut it a little bit sort of closer to your... I'm going to try that sort of, because I want to cut mine into, not just, put that to one side. So we'll just see what we've got. I want it thinner at the top. Okay, so just offer it up. It's a bit big at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to just sort of... Oh, sorry about the noise, ladies and gentlemen. It's my husband decorating, like I said before. Okay, I'm just going to cut the end off. So literally, it's just sort of see how you go, and then just sort of taking it as you want it, the shapes you want, all of that sort of thing. Right. So just smooth your edges out, make sure you've got no sort of solid bits. And then what I'm going to do on here is just put some markings on here. What I'm going to attempt to. The good thing about this is if you get it wrong and you don't like it, you just turn it over, because nobody will even know it's there. Okay, so just offer it up. So that's going to go underneath him a bit, like that. I think I'm happy with that. Perhaps do with being a little bit thinner. So I'm just going to cut round it again, or just around down one side. Okay, let's try that one. Try and keep it nice and tidy, otherwise you'll end up with a bit of a pickle. Okay. There we go. Keeping the edges nice and sort of flat, because if they're not flat it won't sit flush, which is what you want it to do. Okay. So I think I'm quite happy with that. So just offer it up again just to make sure. Yeah, I think that's fine. So what I'm going to do is just attempt to just draw some lines. You could use a map. Oh my goodness, a wooden stick for this. What they called a cocktail stick, like that. Make sure it's sort of down both sides. Not too deep. You're just scoring. You're just marking. You're not cutting. And then I'm just going to put just a little nick at the top of each one like that. If you can see that corner, can you see it there? Just ever such a small little cut. And then I'm going to do that on each one, just a little triangle basically, like that. Oh, got me lost it. At each one, each line, both sides I'm going to do that, and then it kind of makes it look a bit more like a chest plate that a dragon would have. But as far as I'm concerned, you don't have to do this bit if you don't want to. It's up to you. But I just think it just gives it that little bit more detail. So just like that. Oh, my finger's shaking. Look. Okay. So now, you could use a brush for this would work. Anything like that. Let's try a brush, see if it does it. Now all you're doing is just rounding off your edges. That's all you're doing. So just gently rounding them off. So if you just bring the brush in, look, if you can see, just tap it down. That's all you're doing. Move it around if you need to. And then tap it down. Same both sides. And then that should just give it just that little bit more detail. I mean, I can only tell you what sort of pops off the top of my head, which I can assure you is not huge amounts sometimes. And I come up with these little funky ideas which work well for me. They may not work for you, but if you can come up with another way of doing it, please do share it with me because I'm interested. Okay, so that's what we've got now. So if I show you, which I think looks pretty good. Okay, so with my finger, I'm just going to get some of the liquid clay, and we're going to wipe it up his chest because that's where we want this to sit. So spread it out nicely because it's the liquid clay, you don't want it to slide off. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom because I know it was sort of going to flap down. Now if you've got excess, just wipe it off like that because you just don't want too much on there. Otherwise it would just slide all over the place. So just a little bit. So I tend to wipe mine on and then wipe it off. Which is why I always keep a piece of kitchen roll down here. So you can see now it's nice and shiny. Okay, I'm going to put my small bit to the top because that's up by his head. Actually, I didn't need to put any up the front because it fits just nicely on there. If you can see. And then we're just going to very carefully just sort of pat the sides down. That I am really pleased with. That looks awesome. So just hold him, look, and you sort of facing you, and just check he's the right. I'm not happy with that top bit. It's not completely straight, so I'm just going to nibble it off a little bit. There we go. Okay. There we go. So I'm quite happy with that. It looks like one of them cricket things that you wear to check your chest, protect your front. Just tap your edges down so it kind of sits a little bit more flush and it won't look so sort of like it's just propped on there. But do be careful and just remember to line it up again afterwards, otherwise it might have moved. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'll line mine up and make sure it's where it should be. Yep. So now you can go along and with your tool and just remark where your bits are. Like so. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So there you have it. His front. Okay. Right. Now I always put eyelids and whatnot on mine. Depending on whereabouts they go, will depend whether or not the expression that he's looking at. So if he's looking angry, you put them sort of more downwards, if that's what you want, more aggressive and so forth. So I don't like mine to look too much like that. So what I'm going to do is, with this colour, I just roll out a small circle, because I don't want it ever so big to start with. So just roll out and like that, and then squish it down, and then I put 2 lines in the middle of mine, 1, 2, and then I use the outside pieces for the eyelids. So there's one, take that middle line out, and there's the other. Okay, so it should hopefully be big enough. Just going to stretch it down if you can. And then I'll show you in 2 seconds. I'll just stick the second one on. Okay, it's starting to get awkward holding on to it now, because obviously you've got a lot more sort of going on. Use your cocktail stick or your proddy tool and just sort of tap it down. Make sure they're roughly about the same sort of direction. There we go. Don't worry too much if it's not fully over the top, because we're going to put some decorations on that bit anyway. So just get it to where you want it. I have actually got, if you look, one eye bigger than the other, I think. But I mean, that's to start with. So see how he's starting to look like he's not so large sort of eyed now. That's quite good. Quite pleased. Okay, so now I tend to do different colours. So because these are the colours we used originally to do his fins, I'm going to use these now for the decorations across the top of his eye. Okay. They're pretty much the same colour. And I've got the dark, which is the colour of him now. So try not to get all your colours mixed up. So I'm going to start off, I like this one, which was the grey. So I'm going to roll out some of this. I need to clean my my desk. Okay, don't need all that. Don't use it. Don't use it if you need to. Don't need that much, because if you do end up getting it coloured and it comes off the colour of your desk and all that sort of thing, you're going to end up sort of losing a larger portion of the clay into a different colour. Okay. Right. Okay. So if you just look now, got a couple of eyebrows on here. There are him. Now it's up to you. I did start off by putting the silver over the top, but I didn't like it, so I took it off. This bit I don't use the liquid clay, I don't feel like I need to, but I do like to put in a couple of these that sort of go backwards. So I'm going to try a bit of grey now and see what that looks like, and fingers crossed. Normally I would put wings on my dragons, but I think because they're underwater ones, they won't look right. So I just roll off one piece like, if you can see it, let me move them back a little bit, like that. just a little piece. And then I just make sure that I've got another one next to it. So I cut them the same sort of size. I think they're probably going to be too long, but you never know. Like that. And then just make sure you've got a nice point on each end. Like so. See how one's larger than the other. So I'm just going to cut the end off of it again. Cut it a little bit shorter than you would do normally, because when you roll it, it will go a little bit longer again. There we go. So it's 2. So I'm going to stick these over the top of the grey. Now this is quite a fiddly job, so use your pokey stick or your cocktail stick, whatever it is that you've got. And then I like mine just to go a little bit further out. So just tuck it in at the front. Okay. So that's really what I like to achieve. If you can see there's sort of 3 on there now. You've got his general eyelid, which is the same colour as he is, and then a pink one, and then a white one, well, grey. Okay, so I'm going to do the same the other side because we made 2. Like I say, it's a very fiddly job, so you use your sticky thing, your pokey tool. Okay. Oh, doesn't want to bend. That's it, and then try and get them in the same sort of thing. I mean, obviously before you put them in the oven, just always make sure that everything is symmetrical, if that's what you would like. Right, so now I'm going to do some detailing. So what I like to do with this is, on the pink one I think I'm going to do it on, just using my tool, my little pokey tool, I just gently go along it and put some, just dig it in, just making some dots, which I will show you in a second. I mean, you can do 1 row, you can do whatever you want to, really. Okay, so if you can see that, I don't know whether you'll be able to or not. If you can just, yeah, you can see that. See, I've just done some dots in it. Okay, just dug my, you could use again your cocktail stick. So I'm going to do the same this side. Obviously it's getting difficult to hold on to. I've just dug my nail into his nose, which I didn't want to do. There we go. I mean, also as well, if you want to put a mouth on it, you can put wings on it if you don't want to put fins on them. It's all the same sort of principle. It's just deciding what it is that you like. There we go. Okay. So down his back, I'm thinking, I don't know, sometimes I like to do little sort of round dots. I might do it on his sides actually, because he's got quite a large sort of open gap on his side. And literally all I do is really small balls of clay, whichever colour you choose. I'm going to use the white because I think that's got the nicer sort of wow factor off of it. Like so. And then just literally squish him down. And then if you hold on to him and just put it on and push. So just like that. Anywhere you feel like it looks good. Oh yeah, spots definitely suit this one. I mean, one of my others that I did, I've done squares and then I've turned them into like steampunky kind of squares. Oh yes, that definitely looks good. The white is definitely offsetting against the back, so that is definitely something I think you'll be able to see very clearly on the camera. So I'll just go along and make as many as you want to, but don't forget you've got to even up both sides. They don't have to have the same amount on them, just sort of cover the same sort of grounds. Okay, sometimes I'll put little spotty things in the middle of a different colour. I'll show you one of some of my others. Okay, let me get one of the others down that I've done. And I've done these ones by following a book, Christine Fryson, I think it is. So you've got his previous one that I've done. See how I've put gems all over him. I don't like to put the gems on until they come out of the oven. So I'll cook him and then we'll put gems on him afterwards. I don't know whether he even needs any gems, to be honest. This is the one I was on about, doing the squares down the back. If you look, I've done squares along here as against anything else. And at the moment, really all I've done is led down ones. Hence this fella, he's led down as well. And then I've got this chap. I think I made this one first. As you can see, he's not one of my greatest creations. He's alright. My daughter likes him. Oh, it's just dropped a horn off. You better keep that so I can stick it back on later. And then I made this one, was my second one. As you can see, he improves greatly from just 1 to 2. And then this one was my third one, which is the first time I've put feet on him. He's okay. I'm very pleased with the last two, but he's covered in little spikes. Look, that's what I did for him, and then he's got loads of little gold circles on him. Then, like I say, I did some squares down here and steampunked them by just putting little screw holes in them, little lines, so they look like hinges, sort of thing. But he's all right. He's good. Very pleased. Each time I do one, it gets that little bit better, and I'm just that little bit more pleased with it. So it will come with time. Is the only thing I can say to you. Is it takes time. This one doesn't want to go. It's because it's got the shakes. If you can see now, see the spots that are going on his side. They look really lovely. So I might go a little bit down his tail as well with those. We'll see what happens. I don't want to put them too close together because I quite like them spaced out. And if you push them on quite hard, because you obviously don't want the edges up, otherwise it won't look right. I'm going to put one at the back of his ear there. And I might put another small one there. Like I said, it's getting difficult to hold on to him now because he's obviously okay. I'm going to go over this side now and just go along plopping them on wherever I feel I would like to put them. Keep a lot of them nice and small, and then you get more coverage with it. And it seems to look better smaller, so I think what I'm going to do is go along with one of my tools and just put some a little circle in the middle. I'll show you that in a second. Or I might put some pink on the top. I'm so indecisive. I do it as I do it. And then it's really whatever takes my fancy. And I think that's important that you do that. Otherwise, you've got to feel it. Otherwise, it won't work. Is what I would say to you. Which is why I don't really have any direction at all when I start. Apart from, I mean, that was going to be a dragon that was led down with 4 feet and I don't know what. And here we are on a Mer-Dragon, half mermaid, half dragon, with beautiful big fins, spots, and I don't know what. So just go with the flow, trust your instinct, because that is what will get you through, and enjoy it, because that is the other thing that will help. I enjoy sitting here and making these sort of things. I wasn't actually, this isn't the video I was going to actually do. It was going to be that other one, Dave the Dragon. Was the one I wanted to do, but it just kind of ended up happening that I discovered and burnt my first Mer-Dragon, and then that sort of annoyed me, and I thought, well, let's give it a go. And then it just kind of, goodness me, I can't stick that on. And then it just kind of escalated from there, really, which is what I like. It's all about the creativity. And I'm sure if you ask anybody, it's not that hard to do. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. There was actually a comment on my last video, I think, that's on the bottom, and of a lady who just started clay work. And believe it or not, I've only been using clay for about 6 months. I did, before that, I was a bit of a, I did the odd, dabbled in the bit of fondant, was what I generally used, but I'd never sort of dabbled about with the clay before, and it was Lucy, my friend, said to me, oh, why don't you try having a go in clay, and all this, and I thought, well, yeah, we'll try. But actually, I now don't touch fondant. Everybody sort of says to me occasionally, oh, can you make me a cake? And the answer is no. Not unless I can put a clay topper on it. Which I have done. I would like to add. There has been the odd clay topper gone on. Right, I wasn't going to put any of these down the tail, but with me sat here chatting, I've just ended up doing it. And actually it looks okay. If you don't like it, ladies and gentlemen, find something else to do. You put squares on. Or don't put any on at all, it's up to you. Just kind of go with it, whatever you like. But you can scrape it off because it's clay, don't forget that. But I like the dots, definitely. Spots. My daughter will tell you, my oldest one. I'm a bit of a thing. I'm polka dots, I'm crazy for polka dots. I like polka dot clothes for the children as they were growing up. Even my granddaughter I bought polka dot for, and my daughter doesn't actually like polka dots, so she doesn't put her in it. So that's a big thing between me and my daughter, an ongoing joke is polka dots. I think actually this one, it suits. Right, I'm going to turn that now and pick it up and show you. Right, it's very difficult now to find a bit that's not got something on it that's wet clay wise. Doesn't she look lovely? She's beautiful. Right, so now, waste that little bit of clay. I'm going to use a little bit of pink, just in the odd one. I'm not going to do every single one because I just don't want to overpower it. And all I'm doing is just sticking it on the top, and I'll show you why in a second. Just the odd one, just here and there. It just brings some of the polka dots to life. Just straight on the top. Don't push them down too hard, just enough to stick them. Okay, and they've got to be quite small. So they've got to be smaller than your white piece that you're sticking it onto. Okay. And there we go. Doesn't have to be straight. Nothing is like so. I will show you before I... Oh, we've gone off camera again, sorry. I don't know why today, I'm having a terrible trouble keeping it on camera. I think it's because one that you just kind of need to move about with you, and it just keeps sort of slipping off. Hold the fins if you want to move it about. They're stuck on there solid now, so they're not going to come off. Okay, let's do the other side. Just using the lighter pink which we used in the fins. I mean, jewels wise, I don't know whether I really want to put anything on there. I don't think we need any, and that's saying something because I'm a big one for jewels. It's a bit big one for jewels. Always anything sparkly, and I'm there. But I really don't think we need it. I might put some on. I might put some on just the white ones that we've got left that we haven't put anything on. Might work well. I'm just going to do that middle one there. And then if I pick them up and show you. So what I've done, if you can see, is just popped a little bit of pink over the top of some of the white ones. Just all the way around. And then we're going to get a little tool, which these are great. They're off Amazon for about £5, I think. Loads of different sizes. So we've got the large ones, but I'm going to use the really small one. Well, it's not the really small one, it's quite small. There is a smaller one, but I think I'm going to stick with this one and see how that works out. And then literally just push it into it. Like so, and it'll just give it some texture. I'll push them into the white as well, just the plain white ones. I'll show you in a second. Now, you're not pushing hard enough to cut, you're just pushing hard enough to mark. It's not very easy, it's quite fiddly because you can't touch very much else around the tail and that. Okay. And we're just going to go around, get them all. I mean, if you wanted to, you could use a smaller one in the centre of the... Oh, I've just pulled one off. Oh, that looks foobar now, that one. Okay, we'll leave that one off then. It's because it needs to go in the oven and bake now, I'm afraid. I'll just complete... Oh. Because I don't use the glue to put these on, they should just stick on. Obviously, when you're giving it some texture, you've got to be a little bit careful. So if you can see that, all I've done is literally go along and just pop a tool in the middle of it, look, just to give it a little bit of texture, that's all. All the way around. Okay. So as far as things are concerned, I think this guy is finished. Well, I think I'm quite happy with the way he looks. Let me put that away. Just looking whether to stick some of these on. Right, these, oh, just dunked on the head, are left over from my diamond art paintings. They always get and put into too many, and that's what these are, look. So literally there are hundreds in here, all different colours, all different shapes. There's square ones, round ones, all sorts in there. So let me find a tool. There it is. So if you're going to put any on, I'd probably just stick them in the white ones. And I'm just going to go for any colour. Any colour that well, let's go for some pink ones. Okay. So just pop it on, stick it down. When it goes into the oven, it will fuse down quite hard, which is good. Purple one. Now I'm only going to stick them on the ones that are just white. And this is actually a diamond art pen that you would use for doing diamond art. And that's all I use to pick them up, because otherwise they are slippery little suckers. Oh, see, and that doesn't always work. Okay. Remember, I'm just doing it on the white ones. And I'm just using all sorts of manner of colours. I'm not sticking to any particular colour. I'm just doing whatever I fancy and whatever comes up on the doodah. Or I'll pick one up. And because most of these are from Diamond Art Club, they are really sparkly. And they do keep their sparkle in the oven, which is good. Doesn't matter if I get two the same colour, it doesn't matter. Whoops. Like I say, this is a bit of a a bit of a nightmare to do, but if you're patient, just take your time and do it. Oh, see, I just keep dropping them. There's no hard and fast rules, I'm afraid. You might not want to do this. You might want to use Swarovski crystals. You might, oh for goodness sake. You might want to do, there's so much variety and variation to what we're doing that it doesn't matter what it is that you like. You do what it is that you like. And that's the nice thing about the dragons. It's whatever sort of takes my mind and whatever takes my fancy. I have no clear direction when I start it. I just sort of let it go, and then I follow whichever way it is that I want to go. Okay. Once I'm done, I will pick her up and show you. I think it has to be a her. I don't know why, I just feel like it's a her. So I might call her Spot or something. Or is that really cliche? Looks like she's got a really bad case of chicken pox. It looks cool. It suits her, I think. Oh. Okay, just two more. And then I think, ladies and gentlemen, she's ready for the oven. Like I say, when it goes in the oven, please don't forget to check some, to make sure she's symmetrical. Otherwise, if she's not, and you don't check it when she comes out, there's nothing you can do about it. Let's have a white one on. There's nothing on that one. Oh, missed one. Yeah, I have. Let's put a black one on there. So, there we have it. And she's finished now. If you want to put any more detail on it, you could. You could put whatever you want to do on it, really. But I'm quite happy with her. Spot the Dragon. That's what we're going to call her. Spot the Dragon. Okay, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. And have a go at making them. Put the photos on the bottom. I'd really like to see. Really like to you to have a go and follow them. They're really, really not that hard to make. And you don't need all the fancy tools and everything. All you need is just a cocktail stick, a blade, a brush. And that's pretty much about it. And some Fimo clay. So, right, I'm going to put this lady in the oven and go from there. Please subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and then every time I release a video, you will get notified that I've done so. And, like I say, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.